Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Sarah Steffen. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about wearable trackers, like a Garmin or an Apple Watch, but specifically the one that I have chosen to use over the last few years is an Oura ring. Many of you have probably not heard of Oura rings. They are gaining popularity. They've been around for a few years. And to believe they're designed in Norway. And in my opinion, they are an excellent way to track your activity, your sleep, and all of that. So that's what we're going to get into today. So I have chosen the Oura ring. So you can see here, it is a ring. I don't know if you can really see on the inside of it, but it's got some little bumps and things that bump out and hit into my hand or into my finger, and it at times will flash green and at times it'll flash red as it's tracking things. Now I have chosen the Oura ring because I like the fact that it is tracking my movements and my sleep and all the activity and all that throughout the course of the day, but it is not automatically syncing that with my phone or whatever device I'm syncing a watch to. Right, so I wore a Fitbit for a long time, really to be able to measure my sleep and my steps. They have come a long way since those Fitbits first got introduced on the market, like 10, 12 years ago, whatever it might have been. But even when I was wearing a Fitbit, I was really concerned about, I'm one of those people that are concerned about EMFs and Bluetooth and all of that, right? I really don't trust that we know that what EMFs and Bluetooth are doing to our bodies is discovered yet. I mean, if you think about it, Bluetooth and EMFs are pretty new in the human evolution, and we don't really know how that might really impact our bodies. It might not. I mean, you might be like, yep, it's not doing anything, and you might be right, but we also don't know, right? We are electrical beings. I mean, if anything, our heart is an electrical organ, right? It's got electricity that runs through it every single beat. And so you can't tell me that there's not a current coming from a ring or a watch or something that could be potentially interfering with the rest of our bodily functions. So with that being said, I chose the ring because I think this minimizes the amount of current that's running through my body, because it's not automatically connected and sending data to my phone, the app on my phone. I have to pull up the app on my phone so that it can send the data, the app collects it, and then it generates its reports, right? It's not perfect. I know it's not the best, but I like the data that I get out of the ring, so that's why I choose to use it. Many people like the Garmin because that one's very specific, I think, more to activity. Many people like Apple Watches, obviously, because they can hook up to and sync in with their phone. I'm not one. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want text messages. I don't want notifications on myself. I don't even like them on my phone. So I want to distance myself from that, but I still want the data. So that's where this ring comes in. Now that you've seen this, you will probably see this on other people. It is actually preferred to be worn on the pointer finger. I just don't like that, so I wear mine on the ring finger. The most reliable data, they say, though, really comes from wearing it on the ring finger. So what data are we collecting and why is it beneficial? So the Oura ring and all of those other trackers, as far as I know anyways, are collecting data on our sleep, on our activity, on our readiness, how well our body has recovered and is ready for the day. And I use this data kind of on a daily basis. I know that you're supposed to look at your readiness score, for example, like if you work out first thing in the morning, and see what your readiness score might be, and then maybe alter your workout because of whatever readiness you have, right? So if you really have a high readiness, maybe you can hit it a little bit harder. If your readiness isn't as great, maybe, more of a restorative workout or yoga or something of that nature. I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to my workouts. So the only time that I'll really alter my workouts is when I know I really have not had a good night of sleep. And then I really will taper my workouts to do what I can do that day. But most days I like to work out, and I like to work out hard. So I do use this data, and since the app is on my phone, I printed out some screenshots just so I could remember exactly what data is shared on that. So if we started with something like readiness, the Oura ring gives you numbers out of 100. And it'll take a while for your ring, or I believe also your phone to kind of get to, or excuse me, your watch to kind of get to know you. But I'm really going to speak to the Oura right now because that's what I know the most about. So you can start wearing it. I've worn mine almost for 2 years. I actually just realized as I took it off, I have a tan line from my Oura ring. I don't even have a tan line from my wedding rings. But that's because I charge this every 4 or 5 days. It takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour to charge it. That's the only time I really have it off. Actually, right now, you probably can't see it, but there's some green diodes in the middle right there that are tracking things that you don't see very much during the day, but in the middle of the night, you definitely see those lights coming on. So I really have not taken this ring off much in the last almost 2 years. And it has given me some very valuable data. I have learned a lot, and I really like where the trajectory of my life is going based on the data that I'm getting. And so in the morning, when you open up your app, they do suggest you open your app up every day so that it can sync for the previous night's sleep. And then you can also start fresh with whatever activity you're adding in as well. So the readiness and the sleep and the activity scores are right across the top. It'll also, if you're a female, it'll track your cycle. So it'll give you your day of your cycle. It'll give you your current heart rate that it measures kind of intermittently throughout the course of the day. And it'll give you your stress. And you can also customize it, which I don't typically do. I don't need a whole lot of customization. But readiness, so readiness, again, it's out of 100, and your ring over the course, this is what I was starting to say, over the course of 3 months and then 6 months and 9 months, it'll get to know you. So you have a range of where your readiness typically is. And my readiness is typically somewhere in the mid 80s to maybe the low 90s, right? So this morning, my readiness was 87. I had a resting heart rate overnight of 57, my lowest heart rate. They measure your lowest, it measures your lowest heart rate throughout the course of the night and where that also takes place throughout the course of the evening. This is one thing cool that I've learned is that your recovery can be kind of monitored by how well your heart rate has recovered. So you want your heart rate to lower to its typical lowest level earlier in the evening or in the night as you're sleeping, because that gives your body the most ability to recover. And actually, this was one of the things that really prompted me to stop drinking alcohol. I was a very, very random drinker anyways. I would get one cider and maybe drink half of it. But I realized, even drinking half a drink, how much that increased my resting heart rate, or my lowest heart rate, and my resting heart rate for that matter. So I never fully recovered. Even if I was only taking a few sips of an alcoholic beverage, I wasn't recovering, and I wasn't sleeping the way I wanted to be sleeping. So I really haven't had much alcohol in the last year and a half since I've really been able to figure this out. So readiness, it will also give you your HRV balance, your body temperature. This is a scale. Like, is it optimal? Do you have to pay attention? If it's pay attention, it's red. It's like, previous day's activity, pay attention. A lot of activity the last day, so you make sure you're giving your body a little bit, maybe more rest today to kind of catch up. But in that readiness, it'll also give you your sleep. Was it optimal? Was it suboptimal? Was it pay attention? Sleep regularity, previous day activity. So a lot of stuff you can find within that readiness tab. Now, I love the sleep tab, and I've been challenging myself and failing terribly, I must say. One of the biggest reasons I got the Oura ring to start with was because I really wanted to track my sleep. I struggled with some insomnia 3 years ago, and it was not fun. And since then, I've really been trying to prioritize my sleep because I just realized how important it is for my recovery, for my brain, for my attention and ability to give phenomenal quality care to my patients here in the office. And I just feel better when I sleep more, right? So I say that I'm failing because I know that I should be going to bed earlier and I just don't. So I need to be getting more sleep. Last night, I actually did a pretty good job. I was in bed by 9:15, sleeping by 9:30, and my alarm went off. My alarm was scheduled to go off around 5:15 I was up before that. So I got 7 hours and 25 minutes of sleep last night. My sleep score was 90 last night, which was for me really good. My sleep score range can be anywhere from like the upper 70s into like the 92-ish range. A friend of mine just got an Oura ring, and she was telling me that she loves it on the nights she gets 2 hours of deep sleep, because it'll measure your deep sleep and your REM sleep and your total sleep. And I was like, 2 hours of deep sleep? How in the world? She's like, I feel so rested when I get 2 hours of deep sleep. And I'm like, I have never once gotten 2 hours of deep sleep. Like, that's crazy. My goal is an hour and a half. And most nights I'm not quite coming at that. Most nights it's an hour and 15, hour and 20. But my goal is to get an hour and a half of deep sleep every night. Last night, it's only 16% of my sleep. I got an hour and 9 minutes of deep sleep, but I got 2 hours and 6 minutes of REM, which was 28%. And that is what I do strive for. And again, there's not a whole lot you can do to really increase your amount of deep sleep, other than make sure you're prepping yourself for rest. You're going to bed at a normal time. You're consistently sleeping, your sleep and wake cycles. So there are some ways to help increase your ability to get deep sleep, but it's kind of hard. It also told me my latency. So last night it took me 7 minutes to fall asleep, and I think that's really cool to know. Some of you may really struggle to sleep and fall asleep. That's where I would recommend something like a Relax Max from Zymogen, because it does help your body get into a more relaxed state. It helps you fall asleep, get better sleep. 7 minutes is a good amount of time to take to fall asleep. Many times I actually am a pay attention in the latency, because I'll fall asleep so fast that the ring will actually say, you fell asleep in 3 minutes. Your body is overtired. And I'm like, oh, that's because I need to go to bed earlier. It'll also track activity. This is the other thing that I like to see. I strive for about 15,000 steps per day. The average American gets about 7,000 to 8,000. So I'm doubling what the average American does. And 8,000 is the minimum for what we know is needed for preventing disease and illness and things of that nature. So we all need to be shooting for 8,000. And actually, I think I said the average American gets 7,000 to 8,000. I think it's actually lower than that. But my activity, this is just from this morning. So this morning I hadn't had much activity because I just printed these off. But it'll give you, are you moving every hour? It'll give you an alert if you're not moving every hour. Did you meet your daily goal? Your training frequency, your training volume, your recovery time, all of that, right, goes into that activity number. And my activity number is almost always in the 90s, because I'm always, and sometimes it gets a little lower than that because I move too much. But it's a good way for you to see, like, oh, am I moving enough throughout the course of the day? Or do I need to add a short burst of movement and activity here? Do I need to maybe add in or work in a short walk over lunch here? Because movement is life, right? Our body, we need to move. The other thing that Ring will track is it's called daytime stress. So I had a patient one time who said she normally averages about 8 hours of daily stress. And I was flabbergasted by that, because a few weeks ago I was having 2 and 3 hours of daily stress, and I was like, what's going on? Why do I have so much stress? I don't feel so stressed. But we were entertaining. I had my whole family over. I was responsible for cooking and just keeping everyone happy and fed and hydrated because it was hot, the whole thing. And I was like, 3 hours of stress is a lot. I typically average about an hour to an hour and a half of stress per day. You can offset that by making sure that you add in some restorative time, and the Ring will also measure that. I don't get a whole lot of restorative time throughout the course of the day. I don't really feel that stressed, but obviously my heart rate and the way I'm responding on the inside is showing that I must be more stressed than I feel. But it's good. It's good because it'll give you a chart, and it'll show you like where your stress is throughout the course of the day. So you can go back and be like, oh yeah, I know why I was stressed at 12:30. It's because I had a conversation with the person and it got heated at the grocery store, or whatever it might have been, right? And again, it just gives you a really good insight into how maybe you can manage your day a little better, right? So those are the big things that it does measure, and those are the big things that I use it for. I really also love to use it for heart rate variability, HRV. This is one thing that the Ring will measure over the course of the night. As a female, my HRV really changes throughout the course of my cycle, up and down depending on where I am. So I would be kind of curious to find out if men were a little bit more stable. But HRV is a fantastic measure of overall well-being. Heart rate variability is the difference that your heart has in between beats. So if it responds really quickly and you have a higher HRV, that's really good, because that means your heart is capable of shifting and accommodating to the stresses that you give it throughout the course of the day. If your HRV is lower, it may mean that you are overly stressed, or that you're not recovering properly, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough hydration. There's a lot of different factors why that HRV is low. But that's one where even my patients who have watches and things, I'm like, hey, what's a typical HRV for you? Where are you at? Like, let's track that, right? Because chiropractic care can also help raise HRV, which is, I think, really, really cool. Let's see, what else? It'll tell you your cardiovascular age. So if you're curious to know how well you compare to others of your age, it'll say, you can put like your cardiovascular effort in, and it'll give you like good, excellent, great, need work or whatever, based on how fast you can walk at a 10-minute clip. And that then goes into this whole equation of what your cardiovascular age is. My cardiovascular age right now is -7 years. So that's why I was saying I like the trajectory of what I see from the ring, because I find that I'm normally between 6 and 7 years younger than at a cardiovascular age than what I really am. So I'll take that. I'll take that all day. Now, a few other things that the ring does that I don't use so much. You can also track your food in it. And I track my food on a different app, but I really need to try the new app, or the new portion within the app to track my food, if nothing else, to save me a few bucks. But I like tracking my food because I like to know what I'm fueling my body with and making sure that I'm getting the proper nutrients that I want and the proper ratio of macros, particularly protein this day and age, as I'm trying to build some muscle. But that's a new thing. They continue to add new features. They have features for pregnant women so that you can track your pregnancy. There's features for women tracking your menstrual cycle, so that's really cool. There are other studies that they're doing that they use the data if you wanted to put your data towards different studies, so they can figure out how to continue to elevate their product, but also elevate the health of us and in general. The other thing that I really like is I like how it encourages you. So every quarter you'll get a report. It'll be your quarterly report, and it'll tell you how much you've moved, how well you've slept, where you may have had challenges. And I like it because it'll tell you how many steps you had in equivalent to marathons. So typically every quarter I walk the equivalent of, I think it's like 24, 25, 26 marathons. Which I think is wild, right? But it's kind of fun to see those quarterly reports and get that data. Because again, you can use it to potentially shift your life and your health to a better way. So that's the Oura Ring. They're about $350, so they're not super cheap, but when you compare it to an Apple Watch, I think it's pretty comparable. And it's really been durable. Like I said, I haven't taken this off. Even my workouts, I work out with it on. Yes, it does get a little bit scratched up, but at this point, it just looks like a buffed silver. They come in silver or gold. I think there's some black ones as well. So you can kind of make it suit your personality. So yeah, that's the Oura Ring. What do you think? If you have one, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about it. If you love activity trackers, shoot me a comment down below, because I'm really curious just how people use them and if they like them, all that good stuff. And if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, like or subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned because I've got new episodes and content that comes out every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your support.